Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Well, you know, this channel is here for you to have your back when you're going through some emotional hardships, breakups, whatnot. We use understanding and sharing the understanding of how our psyche is put together, such as the relationship between our thoughts and consciousness, which one comes first, and how do they affect each other. We talk about desire, the idea of what desire is, the prerequisite steps that it takes for desire to be born, and how to stop it, the relationship between fear and desire, pleasure, ego, thoughts, consciousness, mechanical process, order, whatever it is that makes us to be who we are, and whatever it is that makes us tick the way we do and act and react in different circumstances in life is what we talk about here. And we use that concept in order to help ourselves to understand why is it after a breakup we react the way we do, and we think we're so devastated, and how to move on. And on this segment, we're having a part 2 of how to move on. We had the part 1, so this is part 2. So let me have a sip of this tea. They say it's very good for you. Oh, I guess sometimes what's really good for you, it doesn't taste that good. And perhaps that is what we should take our cue from dealing with what it is that we're dealing. And while it might not be me making you feel good, but the moving on from your breakup could actually be what it's good for you, hence the tea. So let's have that in mind and go through 4 different parts of our discussion that perhaps brings something to your mind and helps you to see why you should actually move on, and even though if it doesn't make you feel good, but it's definitely good for you. All right, let's begin. So the problem, I think, is when you guys having a problem to move on is because you really are not so clear about what the situation is. You're not looking at the situation with the clear eyes and understanding of what the actuality of your relationship or your situation is. Instead, you're focusing on certain things that confuses you from seeing the actuality of the scene, actuality of where you are in life and where you are in that relationship. Let me give you an example. For example, let's say you're on a flight of 19 hours, international flight from one destination to another. And 18 hours of this flight goes without a hitch, a perfect flight, wonderful, good service and good feeling and elevation and no turbulence, whatnot. But in the hour 19, the aircraft crashes and everybody gets all shook up and, thankfully, no one perishes, but lots of injuries and so on. So, what are you going to say if they ask you, how was the flight? Well, 18 hours was good, was perfect, yeah? So what are you going to say? Well, it was a good flight or a bad flight? Are you going to look at the 18 hours that went without a hitch and you had fun in the flight? Or are you going to look at the 19th hour when the flight actually crashed? Which one is going to determine if the flight was good or bad? Think about it. Obviously, you can't say it was a good flight because the ending wasn't good and you're injured. So you have to see it for what it is, the actuality of it right now. Not the 18 hours that flew by and nothing happened. But when something happened, you got to see then that makes the characteristics of the flight, not necessarily the memory of what things were okay during the previous time of the duration of the flight. So if you focus on that and bring it to your relationship, one reason that you can't easily move on is because you're constantly focusing on the 18 hours of your relationship. The beginning, the middle, all the things that was lovey-dovey and good, but you're missing the actuality of it is as it is now. You're not noticing the crash. You don't want to look at that because the human mind is trained to focus on the good things. and forget the bad things. So naturally, the pain and pleasure comes into the picture. We always have the propensity towards pleasure. We want to remember that, enjoy that. Therefore, we kind of block all the things that were not good. We focus on the good stuff, and we say, well, why should I move on? And there was so many good things about it, but I don't want to see the bad thing. I don't want to see the 19th hour. I don't want to see the actuality of the plane being crashed all over the ground, and I just want to remember how it was flying well. Well, that's not the reality. And that's what is going to hold you back from actually moving on to a better and safer flight. So number one is to see the actuality of the relationship as it is, not as it was. And when you keep bringing what it is, how it has turned out to be, then you will be able to see the reality of your life and see if that's good for me or not. The decision is yours. Number two, you don't want to move on because you have this fear of intimacy with someone else. In other words, you think if you move on, she will then find some other guy and sleep with him. And that's one of the things that you say, maybe I should stick around and make sure that doesn't happen. Even though I know she's not going to come back to me, but I should stick around, because then what I'm fearful of, which her going with some other guy, won't happen. That's probably, that could be one other reason that is in your mind, and you just don't want to let go. But again, remember the T. What might not taste really good, but it could actually be good for you. I mean, look, this got turmeric and it's got ginger, so it must be really good for me. So I endure the bad taste for the actuality, the fact, and the results of the nutritional values that it has. Same thing. Doesn't matter what you're scared about, what you're fearful about. Understand what is good for you, what is not good for you. And definitely, it's not going to be good for you to linger around just hoping that she won't do something that she will eventually do, and that's her right to do anyhow. Number three. Let me look at my notes so I won't mess it up for you after all that. The tunnel. Imagine if you're in a tunnel. It's never a good place when the tunnel is dark, right? So what do you have to do? You don't want to stick around in the darkness of the tunnel. So what should you do? You should be looking for the light, right? Which light? The light at the end of the tunnel, the forward. Why? Because the light in the back of the tunnel, if you think about the tunnel as your relationship and you're stuck in that part that you are, broke up and you can't move on, stuck in the middle of the tunnel, and the tunnel is dark, so is it good to stay there? No, you're not feeling good, are you? So what should you do? Well, you gotta start moving towards the light. Which light? The light at the end of the tunnel where you can see forward, or the light that was at the entrance, which is backward? Well, obviously the one forward. Why? Because if you want to move back toward the light at the beginning of the tunnel, you have to move back toward all the garbage that you actually passed, all the problems that you had, all the bitterness that you had in the relationship, in order to pass that on, get toward the entrance of the tunnel, which there was light, beginning of the relationship. But when you get there, you can see, again, you will start from that time in that relationship, the beginning, and you will end up going through the same thing again, because you can't change the past. It has been the way it has, and even if you manage to go back in time, go to the beginning of it, you will again go through the same situation, end up the same place. So that light, which doesn't exist anymore, you shouldn't be going toward it. You should be going toward the light that is ahead. You haven't experienced it, and you know it's leading to an open space and something that you can experience new, not something that you know how it was. So why you would want to go back to how things were and how they're going to end up to be again. So that's not logical, is it? So naturally, you shouldn't be. We talked about that, I guess, before you find the sweetness of the beginning of the light at the entrance of the tunnel, you will go through all the bitterness, which is not really what you hoping for. Number 4 is that if you think of your relationship as a puppy, the puppy at that relationship is now grown up. Is now a full-size dog, is going to tear your hand apart if you're not being balanced with it and if you're not noticing the characteristics of the relationship. Well, you can't be wishing for that all turn out to be as it was, but instead in this juncture. Because time has passed, things have changed, consciousness have been modified, you guys have both have evolved, and you're now a different person. And being a different person, different persona, different conditioning your consciousness, expecting yet still to be the same as you guys both were at the beginning of the relationship is unreasonable. So what I'm trying to say is that you can't be in the present but live in the past, in the illusion of the past. You have to understand present has its own characteristics, and you can't infuse the past, what it was, into now and expect the now to represent the sweetness of the past without anything else that the past had to bring along with it. And that would be like selecting the particular part of the past, which is not realistic either. So if the past was good, notice, if the past was good, then your present would have been the continuation of that good past. But it's not, is it? It's broken up. Your relationship is broken up. So that means the past really wasn't that good that now you want your present to be. So why don't you just move on and recognize that this past that you're seeking, if it was good, then the present would still continue that past. But if it didn't, it means the past really ended up not being to your advantage. It turned out to be something that is not palatable, and you guys ended up breaking up. So what makes you think that if you actually have that ex back, it would actually be good or different? It wouldn't be, because if it was good, this would never break up. The fact that it has, it tells you that the quality of that relationship is already gone to where it shouldn't have gone. So what I'm trying to say is don't hope for the future with the illusion of it. With the illusion, hang on. So don't hope for the future with the illusion of it present to you the expectations of the past. So don't hope for the future. In other words, don't hope that your future will be a product of the past, which you're damn sure that it wasn't actually doing a good thing for you. So don't hope for the future with the illusion of the present, with the illusion of it present to you the expectation of the past which was not good. Anyhow, I hope you get the gist of it, because I'm lost in my own writing and I don't know how to fix it. But I think you understood. So, knowing how the past was, don't expect it to be as it is, your present to be as the past was, because the past wasn't good. If it was good, it would have continued, not be in a devastation of feeling of emotional hardship and breakup. And don't hope the future to be like the past, because if the past was good, the present would be good, and you wouldn't be hoping for any better future. You would just continue the present as it was. So, in other words, the past is non-existence. If it was good, it would still be, you guys would still be together. And since you're not, all of that should help you to see that the actuality of where you are tells you, don't look back, don't expect the past to be your present. As if the past was good, you wouldn't wish for it. And since you're wishing for the past, that means that it didn't work out. And if it didn't work out, why you want it to continuously not work out? Why don't you look for something new, for present, something that might not taste that good, but it actually would be good for you, hence the tea. I'm not going to make it more complicated because I'm getting lost in whatever the hell it is that I'm saying. So, but I think you get the gist of it. Now, if you have more questions, you can always join my live talks on Fridays, 12 noon Vancouver time. And of course, my site, mind@seekstruth.com, is always open for you to go and click on Talk to Mehran via Skype. And if you're a new client and book a 1-hour consultation, I will throw in another hour, and we'll have 2 hours to discuss what's concerning you. In the meantime, be good to yourself, to the others. I'll talk to you soon, and hopefully I'll be able to read my own handwriting. See you later.